Hello and welcome to the Develop Podcast. This is Danielle Reynolds, business development here at Whitley Penn, and your go-to source for all things connecting, growing, and supporting one another. Today we are diving into the world of fund administration services. This team offers a variety of accounting and investor relations services designed to meet the specific needs of investment fund clients. Their focus is primarily accounting-based, generating financial reports and calculating investor allocations, while also supporting investor relations services to help manage communications with limited partners of the fund. Joining me is Katie Peck, CPA and Managing Director of our Fund Administration team. Katie, welcome to the Develop Podcast, and so excited to have you join us.
Thanks, Danielle. I'm excited to be here.
Well, let's get started. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you went to school, why you chose accounting, and how your career has evolved to where you are now leading our fund administration team.
Yeah, so I did both my undergrad and my master's of accounting at TCU in Fort Worth. Go Frogs.
Love it.
And really, accounting just clicked for me. I mean, even just from my very first class, it was organized, it made sense, everything had a place. It was like, building a puzzle, and that really clicked for me. My first internship was at TPG Capital in Fort Worth on their fund accounting team. And it was interesting because a lot of people start in audit or tax, and that was kind of where I got my first experience. I just really enjoyed the multiple layers of the investors, the investments. It's just a little bit more complex, and I really enjoyed that. I lived in Dallas, though, and didn't really want to commute to Fort Worth for daily. So I ended up coming back to Dallas and working for a small local public accounting firm. We actually created the fund accounting team at that firm. And then in 2017, we were merged in with Whitley Penn. And so I've been at Whitley Penn ever since then. And we grew from that one client to now about a dozen clients. And we're expanding from just fund accounting into including, like you said, investor relations, and creating the current fund administration team that we have now.
I love that. And when when that acquisition happened, we didn't have that service line anyway. So you kind of got to restart it again and really own it and lead it. And now it's had huge success. So excited for that service to continue to expand. So can you explain what fund accounting is and how it differs from what we normally think of as general accounting?
Yeah, absolutely. So the nature of an investment fund is just different than accounting for a general company or entity. You have to think about it from the kind of the flow of cash. So you've got investors that are pooling their money into the fund. So that's money coming in. And then the fund is investing in any underlying deals. And that's one flow of cash. As those deals develop, make money, sell, the funds will flow back into the fund and then distribute out to the investors. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot of movement to track. There's a distribution waterfall in there, which assigns the allocation of dollars back to the investors. And that can just be a little bit more complex and different. And that's generally why fund accounting is a different beast.
I love that. Very important. So can you touch on the significance of fund accounting and that kind of financial management and reporting piece?
Yeah, so fund accounting is just the basis of the reporting of the financial statements from a fund perspective. Investor reporting is a huge piece of that because as an investor of a fund, at any one time you want to see, what do I own of this fund? What does it look like? What have I put in? What have I got out? What's my piece of the pie? And that's where fund accounting comes into play. It defines that for an investor.
Okay. And how often would you say they want to see something like that?
Generally, it's quarterly.
Okay.
I have smaller clients that maybe it's annual, but on a general basis, it would be quarterly.
Okay, that makes sense. And as far as services go, what are the range of services y'all provide for your clients? I know you talked about both the fund accounting and the investor relations pieces.
Yeah, and that's really important, is defining those two kind of levels of service. Mm-hmm. What's interesting about what our group does is it's completely scalable. So if a client is really only interested in the meat of it, the fund accounting, we can do general ledger maintenance, we can create financial statements, we can create investor reporting, and kind of hand off to the client, and at that point, we're done with that scope. Included in those reporting pieces would be a distribution waterfall that we're going to calculate in order to run what we call the hypothetical liquidation calculation. And that really just, again, defines each investor's piece at that given time, at that reporting date. So that would all be the fund accounting piece, kind of the meat of what we do. You can bolt on investor relations. That would be our group really helping you with investor communications. What kind of messages are you sending out? Are you giving them information on a quarterly basis of what the investments are doing, of an impending distribution that's coming? Also on the front end, are you collecting all of these documents from your investors? Somebody's got to organize that. Somebody's got to put together schedules of, contact information. We can help with all of those things. It's really just whatever our client needs.
Okay, so like you said, the fund accounting is the meat of that, and usually that investor relations will come in addition to that if that's important for the client.
That's right, and it's really just based on how many people they have on their team, and what kind of help and service they need. And again, like even if as things are going, they don't have investor relations as an outsourced service from us, but it gets busier, we can always pick that up and add that on too.
Okay, I love that. So definitely not a one size fits all with what you are doing with your clients. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's completely customizable. Okay. From the outset, we have conversations with our clients and say, what do you need? What do you want to do in-house? What do you absolutely not want to do? We can handle all of the pieces that are outside of the scope of what you want to do. One other thing that I'll mention, almost we call it like an ad hoc service, would be sometimes we have clients who are interested in doing some financial projections or hypothetical models. What would happen if? What does it look like in this scenario, in this case? We can run those models and help out with that because we're already working on the distribution model, so we can kind of manipulate it to say, if these things happen, what would be the outcome there? And so we can help that. We can help with that as well.
It sounds like pretty easy to maybe build upon things and add services as work progresses or as you get in and they're like, you know what, we don't want to do this anymore. Is it pretty easy to kind of pick that up and go from there?
Absolutely. And a lot of times a client will start out, they've got some investments that they're working on. It's kind of taking their time. And then the market changes and all of a sudden there's an explosion of all of these different opportunities and they want to take time looking at value creation for their investors. That's their highest and best use. They should spend the time finding the best investments and deals. And again, like you're saying, what can we help you with? And so that you're not juggling all these things. And at that point, let us help with investor relations or any of these other ad hoc services.
Yeah, I love that. So your clientele, can you discuss the types of clients that y'all typically work with? I know, there's could be hedge funds, family offices, private equity. What industries are y'all typically serving?
Yeah, so private equity is the biggest kind of overarching type of client. They can really invest in almost anything because as far as the fund administration, the fund accounting piece of it, we're just going to book an investment. Whatever that looks like, whatever the details of that is, that's a different kind of level of accounting, which we can get into bundling those services. I think that's a really big benefit. But essentially, any type of investment works with our model. So a private equity group investing in real estate, oil and gas, venture capital, business opportunities, things like that, very typical for us. And yeah, even family offices. At that level, the family members almost act as investors. Right. That's kind of how we're able to look at it. So yes, it works for us as well.
Okay, I love this. So technology, I know before we started recording this, we were talking about the impact of technology in this line of work. So can you talk about just some snippets of that and how it could be changing and impacting what y'all are doing?
Yeah, for sure. Lately, I've seen a ton of investor portals, and investor portals have been around for a long time. So the bigger investment funds, global investment funds, they've been using portals for a long time. I'm seeing now our smaller, initial starting funds wanting to be able to offer something that's sleek and clean. Investors can go to one place and find anything that they might need. And so we're really seeing investor portals enter the marketplace at a more beginning, lower level of a fund, right? Okay. So that's where we're trying to really ramp up those services and be able to tap into that for our clients.
Yeah, I think that's exciting. So are you going to your current clients and kind of assessing them and seeing, hey, would you be interested in this, and going from there?
Yeah, so I've got potential clients that have said from the outset, a brand new fund, absolutely, we're going to offer a portal. Can you make that work? The answer is yes. We can work with a portal. We can administer that for you. Your investors can come and see anything that they would need directly at that portal. I also have current clients who it might not even be on their radar. Right. And so we're going out to current clients and saying, hey, this is something we can offer. We can put this together as you're fundraising for your next fund. Think about being able to share this kind of option for your investors. They're going to like it. Everyone's going to like it. Our clients are going to get less requests from their investors. It'll make our work more efficient because it's all in one place, and investors can log in and find their information, whatever they're looking for, all in a one-stop shop.
Yeah, efficiency. Add portal administration to y'all's service line.
That's right.
I love that. Okay, so in my last two episodes, we've really touched on all of our outsourcing capabilities. So we talked about the value of outsourcing your accounting and then data analytics. Can you talk about some of the benefits with outsourcing fund accounting? I know you kind of touched on the efficiency and accuracy, but any type of cost savings, obviously bringing in expertise of y'all doing this work kind of on a daily basis. But what are some of those maybe immediate benefits that your clients see?
Yeah, so, taking this work off of their plate is huge. I mean, our clients are financially oriented. Their brains work that way. That's why they're good at finding a good investment. So they're probably capable of doing this work, but being able to free up their schedules and have, their focus completely on value creation for their investors and finding deals is in my mind the biggest benefit for them to outsource with us. Another huge benefit is our services, fund administration, couples really well with, like I mentioned earlier, the other types of accounting. So if you think about the way that the structure is set up, there's the fund entity. The fund is going to be invested in investments, like we mentioned earlier. Those investments, whatever they might be, generally need to have an accounting on those entities as well. Right. Whether it's oil and gas, we have a huge oil and gas group. I work very closely with them on several of our clients. They're doing the oil and gas accounting. We're doing the fund accounting. It makes a ton of sense to share that information. We work internally, and there's efficiencies automatically there. If you are invested in real estate, maybe there's property accounting that's going on. We have the CAS group, the Outsourced Accounting Services group. They can handle that for you. So being able to couple their services with ours is a huge benefit. Information is shared. It's kept internally. That's a huge value creation on our clients, in our client's mind. It extends to tax, right? Because we're working on those investor schedules. We've got all of the investor contact information. Right. We've got email addresses, EIN numbers. Tax needs that. They need to be able to send a K-1 out. They need to be able to fill out the tax ID. So we have all of that information and can internally securely share that and gain efficiencies for our clients.
I love that. And would you say most clients, are they typically handling this type of work that your group does internally before they come to you? Are most clients in this kind of line of work already outsourcing it, or do they have those internal teams?
It kind of depends on when they come to us. If they've kind of been around and they've tried to do it on their own, usually it's internal and they are sort of swamped and looking for an outlet, and that's where we can come in. my favorite type of client is fresh off the, they're currently fundraising, they're brand new, they're trying to get everything in place. I love to come in at that point because we can build everything at the most efficient level and get everything to our standard forms, get it set up exactly how we would love for it to be set up, and be able, like I said, to share information internally, things like that. So usually I see it as an internal service that they're trying to just take off their plate.
Sure.
I don't see a ton of necessarily turnover unless somebody's just really unhappy with a vendor.
Okay, love that. So talk to us about a typical onboarding process with your team. So following, you scope, you identify the needs. How quickly are y'all stepping in and really getting to work?
Okay, so let's just take the example of a client coming in and saying, we're currently fundraising, we're getting set up, we have an investment that is great, we're working on that. If we are part of that, there is no downtime. We can collect information as a client essentially gets the information from their investors. We can organize all of those schedules. We can build our chart of accounts based on a general account that we have done in the past. And so it's really just we're working alongside them step by step. There's not any sort of downtime where a client would necessarily be waiting on us to get set up in that type of a scenario. If we're coming in and trying to play catch up and clean things up, there's going to be some time. But typically I can't imagine it being longer than a week or two. I mean, it's not anything that's going to take forever, and we're going to be working together, right? Because we're going to have questions. They're going to be able to give us the detail behind some transactions that might have been booked, and we're trying to clean those up.
Yeah.
So it would be a process where we're working together and getting through that together.
Yeah, but pretty streamlined. And are you typically doing this in person, remote? How is that set up?
I would say our initial meeting, it makes a ton of sense to be in person, to be able to kind of go through everything together. And then after that, we're on the phone with clients daily, certainly emailing daily. A lot of what is happening in fund administration is client. I mean, if you think of us as an outsourced group that is in your company, right? So we're an extension of your firm. And so we have open communication daily, certainly weekly, with our clients. And that just works best for everyone. We have questions too, right? So in the same way that they might need something from us, we may have a request from a client. And so it's really great from both perspectives to be able to have that open communication.
Yeah, I totally think that any type of outsourcing work, you really are becoming embedded into their company and part of the company, which allows you all to be more successful too. Talk to me a bit about just pricing overall. How is that handled? What would that look like for someone interested in thinking about the fund administration services?
Yeah, we can really, it depends on what the client would want and need as far as whether we would bill hourly and just say, here's many hours we worked, here's what it looks like, and direct billing. If we do that, you're going to have variety on a monthly basis. We bill monthly. So the month after quarter end, it's going to be a larger bill. A few months after that, it might be a smaller bill. So there's just going to be variety there that's just reflective of the amount of hours that we're working, the times that we're busier, the times that we're not busier. If you're looking for something that's just something you can expect, you can kind of rely on, here's what my bill will generally be. We do a fixed fee pricing, so we can certainly look at that from the outset, analyze it, making sure everyone feels comfortable with it, showing all the services that are included in that number. And then, if anything happens to be out of scope, we could bill hourly on top of that if we need to do services that are out of scope. But generally in a fixed fee environment, we're going to analyze that on a every 6 months, certainly every year basis. How did we end up? Is everyone comfortable with it? Are we writing off a lot? Do we need to increase the fee? Where are we? So typically clients like that just because they can rely on a number and know a general ballpark of where they'll be. And then we can adjust that as necessary.
Yeah, I love that. So the future of this industry, where do you think fund administration as a whole is heading within the next 5 to 10 years? I know you chatted about the portals and how things are moving in that. Anything else as far as trends?
I mean, I really think what's so interesting to me about the portal is all that it can really offer. An investor can go in and see a snapshot of where they are, what their piece of the pie looks like at any given time. There's also going to be a folder with all of the historical reporting that they can dig into. Even from a fund manager's perspective, who I would define as like that's our typical client, they can go into the portal. They can blast out an email communication through there. They can kind of look around and analyze numbers and see what things look like from an investor's perspective. So I really just see the portal has huge benefits for our clients. I think investors are going to be really satisfied with that. They may already be seeing portals with bigger funds. Okay. So to be able to offer that from maybe a smaller fund is huge. They're going to expect that and be impressed by that. And if you've got, a fund that's able to offer the technology of a portal from day one, you're going to have an investor that's a little bit more confident around where their money's going. It looks, a little bit more streamlined. It's going to be, I think there's a lot coming in the future with this investor portal that, we're going to be able to offer to our clients.
I love that. And when you say smaller fund, what does that number typically look like? Or what is the fund size you and your team are working with?
Yeah. So, I mean, if I talk about it from investor commitments, right? So you've gone out to all of these investors, collected their commitments, the levels that they're willing to put into the fund. I would say a smaller one would be $100 million and below.
Okay.
Mid-size, $300 million. And then up from there.
Okay.
So like the larger, certainly $500 million, they're gonna probably have a portal because they need to be kind of have their ducks in a row and look professional. At the smaller level, I mean, maybe you're raising money from friends and family, and so they may not be necessarily expecting something high tech. But if you're able to offer that and you're able to put that together and they can go in and find what they need at a click of a button, it's going to look impressive. Yeah. And so that's really what we're aiming to be able to offer our clients, to offer to their investors.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Katie, is there anything else I missed that you would like to share with our audience, specifically as it relates to what y'all do?
So just really emphasizing that the type of investment that a fund might be aiming to invest in is kind of irrelevant from our perspective. We can handle a fund of any type of investment. That's important because it really opens the playing field for our clients. And then again, with just the efficiencies of coupling services. So our group works very well with another outsourced accounting group, oil and gas, whether it's, that group or real estate. Those are going to be just huge efficiencies to gain when we can couple those services. And then, of course, tax, being able to share that information internally as well. Clients are going to see efficiencies and reduced fees.
I love that. And who doesn't want that?
That's right.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. Reminder that we are always here to be a resource and support you in any way we can. And I look forward to continuing to connect, develop, and grow with you all. Cheers.